It's about 18 seconds since Mansell went through. There he is on his way round the right-hand into Chapel and then down the Hanger Straight. And Ayrton Senna goes through now. The gap is 26 seconds. Martin Brundle in the pits, and he's been there for a long, long time. There's a major problem, obviously, with the Zach speed. And you can see wearing the headphones in the pit lane on the left-hand side of your screen in the dark glasses, Jackie Oliver, who is the team chief of the Arrows Megatron team, probably feeling pretty pleased because his two drivers, Warwick and Cheever, are not very far off the points in 7th and 8th positions, and if anybody drops out, one of them is going to be in the points, as Nigel Mansell chasing in 2nd place in the British Grand Prix, which he won at Brands Hatch last year, goes through to complete another lap.
And we have a battle behind, and here is Alain Prost, who is chasing Ayrton Senna. He's some 12 seconds behind Senna. Remember, he dropped behind him when he went in for tyres. Senna has not been in for tyres, and I would think by this stage of the race is not intending to go in for tyres, as he did in Detroit, or rather didn't do. He didn't stop for tyres there. And Prost is catching him slowly, gently, so it looks as if we're going to have a possible battle for 1-2, with Mansell still closing in on Piquet, although maybe not fast enough to catch him by the end, unless Piquet's what will be very worn tyres by the end of the race start to lose grip too much. And Mansell yet again dropping the lap record right down now, under 1 minute 11, 1 minute 10.9, and the gap is still 20 seconds because Piquet is responding, but Prost is chasing.
Out of the race is coming Cheever, who was in, I spoke a bit too soon, he was in 8th position, I'm sorry, behind Derek Warwick, and now he's limping into the pits. There is Eddie Cheever. He came off the course a little while back with a great plume of smoke coming out of his engine, and he's now touring in, obviously, to retire.
And Mansell isn't far off schedule to catch Nelson. There are 18 laps to go, and he's 18 seconds behind him. So he's on schedule to catch him just about on the last lap, as things go at the moment. And Nigel really charging with his chase. Into the pits comes Michele Alboreto. They've been waiting for him for some time.
So Michele Alboreto, then, the Italian in the Ferrari, was in 5th position. Now let's see how good the Ferrari pit stop is. The fastest that we have had so far was Alain Prost in 8.1 seconds. The Ferrari people have done some very quick stops, but there's trouble at the right rear at the back, and that's a bad one. Michele Alboreto, 11.4 seconds. Now he sprints out of the pit lane, having completed 48 laps, and we are on lap 49 then, with 16 laps to go, including the one that they are on. Leading Piquet, who is now only 17 seconds ahead of Mansell.
Yes, and Mansell is really starting to catch Piquet fast now. He's reading him in faster than the schedule required. The gap is now under 17 seconds, and another very, very fast lap indeed for Mansell. He's now lapping over a second a lap quicker than Nelson Piquet. So Mansell is now beginning to look as if he's going to be able to catch Piquet.
Yes, 1 minute 10.7. That's another fastest lap for Nigel Mansell. It's 0.2 of a second only off, but it's indicating that he's maintaining that. And look at the right front of Piquet's car. That's starting to look worn to me, and I believe that Piquet has got a tyre problem. Mansell on fresh rubber could catch him. This could yet be Nigel Mansell's British Grand Prix.
And Alain Prost could be in trouble. He's just put in a very slow lap, and he's lost 5 seconds to Ayrton Senna, who he was chasing. And that was Prost just flashing across your screen there, with Piquet coming up to lap him. So Alain Prost seems to be in trouble. There is Piquet just passing. See the two Tyrrells still locked in combat. They have been throughout the race. So Prost seems to have slowed very dramatically. Nelson Piquet won't be able to get at him after Club Corner. It'll be interesting to see just how fast he can power past him. And there you see the power of the Williams Honda tail. He really blasted past Prost there. It'll be interesting to see just, and of course, how the gap to Senna is going as Prost drops back.
And even more interesting to see how the gap to Mansell is going. And the answer is 13.4 seconds. Mansell took nearly 3 seconds out of Piquet's lead on that lap. Piquet now leads by 13.5 seconds. And if Mansell goes on at the rate he's going on now and can get past Piquet when he gets right up behind him, he is going to win, because there are 14 laps still to go. And Mansell has broken the lap record again. 1 minute 10.5. So, and now on lap 51, Nelson Piquet is in the lead. Mansell is second. Senna is a long way back in third place. Prost has been lapped in fourth position. Fifth is Nakajima. Both then the Lotuses in the points, as are both the Williams. Sixth is Derek Warwick in the remaining arrows. Is he at last going to get not only a finish but a point here in Silverstone? The Benettons of Boutsen and Farby are 7th and 8th. Alboreto is 9th, lapped twice. Cheever was 10th, but of course is now in the pits. And here is Nigel Mansell coming through. We'll see what the gap is. It was 13 seconds. Mansell goes through, and it's now 12.8 seconds. So Piquet has got the message and has speeded up a bit, but he is on worn rubber, and there is absolutely no doubt now that if Piquet opts to come in desperately to get new tyres, he has lost the race. He's got to stay out.
Oh, definitely. He's going to have to stay out. But what it does look like is that we're going to get a grandstand finish. There's the gap, just under 13 seconds. Piquet will be responding. A lot might depend on what to us can only be a totally unknown factor, and that is how the two drivers have conserved their fuel. If either of them has got a little bit of extra fuel in hand at the end and can turn up the boost, once they get line astern, that driver obviously will have a huge advantage. So Prost is definitely falling well back from Ayrton Senna. He's now lapping around about the 116s and would appear to be in some sort of trouble, and I'm sure he's driving for the finish because his pursuer is Satoru Nakajima, and he's a long way behind.
Mansell is now gaining at the rate of 1 second a lap. The gap is down to 11.6 seconds. There are 12 laps to go. If they go on as they are going now, with Mansell yet again another quicker lap, 1 minute 10.4 and 151 miles an hour. An incredible average of over the whole lap. And if they go on as they are now, they're going to be right up with each other on the last lap. And I cannot see Nelson Piquet doing anything other than keep the door very closely shut on Nigel Mansell. He'll be staying on the racing line, giving the Englishman absolutely no chance to get by. 11.6 seconds then was the gap. Here is Piquet coming through to complete lap 53 out of 65. Over the line he goes. Mansell exits the new corner as Piquet goes into Copse, and the gap is 9.6 seconds. Mansell is charging again. He must be happy about the fuel situation. He's got his fuel counter and the advice over the radio, and he's really flying, catching Piquet.
Yes, he's knocked nearly another half second off his own lap record in his chase. He's now under 1 minute 10 seconds. The last lap he did in 1:09.9, and it's brought him considerably closer to Nelson Piquet. The problem is, or the question is, can Piquet respond? Remember, he's on pretty worn tyres now. He won't have anything like as much grip as teammate Nigel Mansell. And there is Frank Williams, probably enjoying this a lot. Must be very nice to have have a jolly good race going on when it's between your own two cars. Senna now out of sight behind, and Prost falling away from Senna. He's nearly half a minute behind him now, and he can only lap in 1 minute 16 seconds. And the gap has just been falling down at the front. So Piquet still can't really pick up the pace. Mansell only 8 seconds behind him now.
Lap record Mansell 1:09.9. How the speed has gone up from about 148, and the lap record has come tumbling down. 1 minute 10.9, 10.7, 10.5, 10.4, and now 9.9. And the man who's doing it is Nigel Mansell, who is on, like Piquet, lap 55 out of 65. Into the pits again comes Michele Alboreto. Was in 9th position. Berger went out on the first lap. It's going to be another disaster Grand Prix for Ferrari, but certainly not for Williams, who again, for the second Grand Prix in succession, are on their way to a possible, in shooting terms, the maximum possible score. 9 points for a win, 6 points for second place, and that's 15 to extend their lead over the McLaren team in the Constructors' Championship. But the Ferrari is in real trouble. Somewhere in the right rear corner, and Mansell, Prost stopping. Alain Prost, who was in 4th position, out of the British Grand Prix to join the other 9 retirees. And that means to say that with Prost out of the running, up to 4th place comes the incredible Nakajima behind his teammate Ayrton Senna. To 5th comes Warwick, to 6th comes Farby, to 7th will come Boutsen, because Alboreto is dropping back all the time and I think is effectively out of the race. Well, the attrition rate is increasing. This is lap 56, 9 to go, including this one, and it's not far off being completed, with Piquet leading Mansell by 8.3 seconds when they went through last time. Mansell carving into the lead of the Brazilian. 7.5 you see there. They're coming through to complete the lap. I've got Piquet over the line. There he goes. Now I see Mansell approaching it, and you'll see him come out of the corner in a moment, and the gap is 6.4 seconds.
Well, with all this excitement going on up front, let us not forget the race for the normally aspirated cars going on behind. And whilst Palmer and Streff and the two Tyrrells were battling for the lead of that for most of this race, it's now been resolved pretty much, or at this stage anyway, in Palmer's favour, because he's got past Streff, and Streff's engine has become very rough and he's dropped a long, long way back. So Piquet now fighting his way through the traffic. This, of course, is a potential problem for him and, of course, for Mansell. They're racing hard, but they've still got to be careful around the slower cars. They can't afford to throw it away. And you see now Mansell has Piquet in his sights. He can now see Nelson Piquet, and that will give him that extra little boost as he... and there we are, there's the fan club for Nige. Go, go, go. And he certainly is riding toward us as far as that's concerned.
6.2 seconds was the gap at the end of the previous lap. There's Mansell. He can see Piquet ahead of him. There is the flying Britisher with 8 laps to go. Nigel Mansell in second place, Piquet leading, Senna in third position, the only man still on the same lap as the leaders. Nakajima is fourth, Warwick is fifth, 2 laps down. Farby is sixth, 2 laps down. Boutsen is seventh, 2 laps down. In 8th position, Alain Prost was, but is now out of the race, because effectively there are only 7 runners left, and the gap between Piquet and Mansell now is 3.9 seconds. It's less, look! Savour this. This is a great British Grand Prix. We had a superlative race in France. This is terrific. And if anybody is slow in letting Piquet through, Mansell is going to be right up with the Brazilian. This is the end of lap 58. Past me goes Nakajima, who is in 4th position. There's Senna behind him. Here is Piquet, and here is Mansell, and the gap is 3.06 seconds into Copse. Mansell coming up on the tail ender to lap him. Out of Copse. Past, it's Fabre that he's just lapped. Now he's coming up to Senna. Ayrton Senna in 3rd position is about to be lapped, or will be shortly, and you can see the crowd already sensing the possibility of a Mansell victory, urging the Englishmen on, waving their programs, waving their hats. I'm sure they're shouting at him as well. And another lap record, 1 minute 9.8, 153 miles an hour.
Yes, tremendous stimulus it is, with all the crowd waving you on like that. You don't particularly see them, but you can feel the atmosphere. And Mansell will be getting a real charge. Well, he is really charging. Fabulous stuff. But remember, he's still got to get past Piquet. He's got to catch him. If Piquet's been wily and kept a little bit of extra fuel in there, he can turn his boost up, and that could make him very difficult to pass, depending on whether Nigel has done the same thing or not. Certainly Nigel has more grip, but if Piquet can call on additional power, if he's been really clever, then doesn't matter how much grip Nigel's got, he can't respond with additional boost, and the two Lotuses are causing a lot of trouble for Nigel there. So, and there is the view from Nakajima. He lets him go, but he's still got Senna to deal with. And we know there's little love lost, and Senna won't make things easy for Mansell, but it looks like Mansell's got the power and the straight line speed just to blast past him. And in fact, Senna was very polite indeed, kept over to the right-hand side of the track and let Nigel go. So the battle is on. The Tyrrell there won't be a problem for them.
And in spite of all that passing problem, Nigel Mansell on lap 60 out of 65 is still only a whisker over 2 seconds behind Piquet and gaining. They're coming up to complete lap 60 now, into and out of the new right-hander, which I judge to have been a success. Piquet, Mansell, 1.7 seconds. 4 laps to go, including the one they are on. Piquet, of course, knows what the situation, as does Mansell. They both have their radio information. Mansell can see Piquet, and Piquet, of course, will see Mansell getting ever bigger in the mirrors. 1.6 seconds difference, I think it's less than that now, as they come to the fastest part of the course. Mansell with superior grip on a newer set of tyres. Piquet has gone through non-stop. Of course, there's no way he's going to stop now. He's got to desperately hang on. And when Mansell gets under his rear wing, as inevitably he is soon going to do, they're on lap 61, Piquet has got to make it, or will make it, as difficult as he can for the Englishman to get a faster line.
Yes, and of course, see the crowd just waving and cheering Nigel Mansell on, and such is the speed of the Williams that when they passed Ayrton Senna then, they have now lapped the entire field. So the Williams team is going from strength to strength, and absolutely dominant in Grand Prix racing on the faster circuits at the moment. They showed that in France a week ago, and they've showed it even more emphatically here at Silverstone.
Lap 62, less than a second. Yes, Frank Williams there, and Greg Norman. Greg, of course, pitching for his friend and fellow golfer Nigel Mansell, number 5, there he is. It's certainly less than 0.8 of a second now as they go down the hanger straight. And Mansell is now going to harry Nelson Piquet with 3 laps to go, including the one that they are on, to find his opportunity to surge past. And if he does, it will be to win his 3rd successive Grand Prix in Britain. The European in 85, the British in 86, and the British in 87. If that happens, and look at the crowd. They're willing Nigel Mansell on. If willpower was horsepower, Nigel Mansell would have at least another 100 as he comes through now to complete lap 62. Now he is with Piquet.
This is now where Nelson Piquet will have to call on all his experience. Mansell, as we say, with superior grip. There's nothing Piquet can do about that. but if he saved up a little bit of fuel, he's still the man in front, and that is the dominant position. But Mansell is really on a high, and the crowd, of course, you can see them waving and cheering in the background, and that is definitely worth something. Just that little bit of atmosphere puts you on a bit of an extra high, a bit of an extra charge, and this is where Mansell will be looking to challenge. Piquet will hold the inside line. And Mansell's through, and a tremendous driving by Nigel, but that really was a bad mistake by Piquet to go back to the other side of the track. He just opened the door again for Nigel Mansell. He really should have held the right-hand side of the track and made Nigel go around the outside. And so Nigel Mansell looks as if he's sewn up the British Grand Prix.
And he's done it from 25 seconds back. He's fought back. He's recovered those 25 seconds, and as he did in France, he has just driven straight past Nelson Piquet on the inside. I suspect that the Brazilian could do little about it. Let's have a look at it again, as with 2 laps to go, including this one, there is Piquet in the lead. Watch Mansell come first to the left, now to the right. He's got the inside line. He is level with Nelson Piquet.
Yeah, and that was bad. Piquet handed back the inside line to Mansell, having gone to block the inside line. He moved to the right track, or stayed on the right-hand side of the track, and then for totally inexplicable reason, he moved back and just opened the door. And it was really quite strange, because at this stage of the race, one is entitled to hold the inside line and make your opponent go the long way round, and it really is a bit of a worry seeing Piquet do that. I just can't understand it.
Well, once again, as the Union Jacks wave and the crowds roar, Nigel Mansell has demonstrated psychological superiority over his double world champion teammate Nelson Piquet. Mansell is about to start the 65th and last lap of the British Grand Prix, and if they finish where they are now, the World Championship is going to be in a fantastic situation. Senna leading 1 point ahead of Mansell and Piquet, tying. And now Mansell's on his last lap.
Yes, Nigel Mansell going around Copse on his last lap, and what a fantastic drive. It was a private battle between the two Williamses, and once again, Nigel has put it over Nelson Piquet very emphatically. He did the pit stop. They both they gambled on the quite different tactics, of course. Nelson trying to go through the race without a tyre change, but the storming drive that Nigel put in after his pit stop, just pulverizing the lap record, lapping over a second quicker than anybody else on the circuit, was tremendous entertainment to watch, and really showed the grit and determination and skill, of course, of Nigel Mansell, and the crowd loved it. Wonderful atmosphere here at Silverstone. Look at that crowd just waving him home, and now he can almost coast to the line. Just one more corner to go.
To win his 3rd successive Grand Prix in Britain. It's just the left, the right, and now Nigel Mansell, winning the British Grand Prix for the 2nd year in succession, can see the checkered flag. Out it goes. Mansell has won the British Grand Prix. Nelson Piquet finishes in 2nd place, and it is going to have been a superb British Grand Prix for Britain, because with Senna finishing in 3rd place lapped, 4th Nakajima, Derek Warwick is going to be 5th in the Arrows ahead of 6th position Theo Fabi, and Jonathan Palmer looks like winning the 3.5 litre category for Tyrrell in 8th position. But that is the man of the race. He has stamped his authority in the heaviest possible way on the Williams team, on his teammate Piquet, on Silverstone, and now on the World Championship, because Nigel Mansell is in 2nd place in the World Championship, tying with Piquet, just 1 point behind Senna. He led the championship after San Marino, then he plunged down to 5th position, and in 2 races he's come back to 2nd equal. And subject to official confirmation then, with Mansell having won, with Piquet having finished 2nd, Senna 3rd, and Nakajima a superb 4th place, back in the points again for the Japanese driver for the 3rd time this year. A 5th place for Britain with Derek Warwick in the Arrows. 6th for Fabi. It will mean to say that Senna, as Nigel leads home, is leading the World Championship by 1 point for a tie for second place between Piquet and Mansell. Prost in fourth position, and the British crowd break ranks. They're marvellous at this, and they will go back to their positions after this race and before the next one, and I can think of no other crowd in the world that would do that. The British enthusiasm for Grand Prix racing has never shown more. Nigel is not going to be allowed to get back to his pit. Amazing. And what an absolutely incredible drive. We've always known that Nigel Mansell had enough guts, grit and determination for any 10 men. He has shown that more than ever before, and I've seen some very gritty drives from the Isle of Man, because that's what he is now. Brought up in Birmingham, but now he regards his natural home as the Isle of Man, and it's going to be a fantastic homecoming for him. But remember Nelson Piquet, he drove magnificently. Victory has been snatched from his hands yet again. He is at the end of the lap, and yet another second place for Nelson Piquet. It is his 5th of the year, because Nelson has been consistently in that position, finishing there in Brazil and Monaco and Detroit and France, but he's had to settle again. Nigel Mansell's 3rd win of the year gives him the most wins of the year and puts him very firmly on track, as he was in 1986 for the World Championship, because there is the official situation. And what is the England? He's for heaven's sake, fellas, I think he is saying, he's out of the cockpit, you can see that. Helmet off. Come on, chaps, give us a chance. Let me get back home. And you see the marshals have very sensibly ringed his vehicle. I'm not accusing the enthusiastic British onlookers of doing what has been known to happen in some circuits, and that is to take virtually the whole car home as a souvenir. But the British marshals are making sure that that doesn't happen. There's Piquet. Well, he won't be in the best of humours, and why should he be? Because the decision he made for the second Grand Prix in succession about tyres was the wrong decision. It may well have been that that was the advice he had from his team by radio as a result of Mansell's first set and Prost's first set being examined by the tyre technicians, and then making a decision that Piquet could go the whole race, but for whatever reason it proved to be a wrong one. James, you have been in this situation where you have won a British Grand Prix and you've had an adoring crowd round you. There's Senna walking in. It must give you an enormous uplift.
Oh yes, it's a hard feeling to describe. It's just a wonderful feeling to feel that you've delivered for a lot of people who come to see you, delivered for yourself, of course, but to have all that support as well is quite overwhelming. And tremendous atmosphere here, and a fabulous thing for Nigel. 2 British Grand Prix on the trot, and that puts him right back into contention for the World Championship. Looking very strong indeed, because of course the Williams team look really quite invincible at the moment on these fast circuits. The opposition are really going to have to do some development work and find some more power if they're going to be able to live with them, because we go next to Hockenheim, which is very much a power circuit again. Then we get to Austria, which again is a power circuit, and the next time we get away from a power circuit is Hungary, and that's 3 races away. So by that time Williams could really have consolidated their World Championship lead, and Mansell looks to be the man at the moment over Nelson Piquet. Piquet standing at his place on the rostrum, looking very dejected, straight across from our commentary position here. So we think Nigel is in the rescue vehicle, having been rescued from his car, which was swamped by the crowd, and I'm sure he's loving every minute of it. It must be a tremendous feeling for him.
And there are really only 4 men in the World Championship now: Senna, Piquet, Mansell and Prost. And Prost, notwithstanding the fact, as poor Nelson Piquet, utterly dejected, waiting to take a pretty hollow second place as far as he's concerned. A magnificent drive, but it wasn't good enough as far as he's concerned. And there is the hero. You see Nigel Mansell's hand waving, and the crowd, I can tell you, is roaring him home. And I say there are only 4 men in the championship: Senna, Piquet, Mansell and Prost, because even now, and even though Prost failed to finish in the points, he is only 5 points behind Ayrton Senna in the lead after 7 races with 9 still to go. So the World Championship is still wide open, notwithstanding the fact that Mansell, and there he is, has moved up to 2nd position.
Bit of a worry, of course, about Nigel's car being swamped then. If the crowd get over-enthusiastic and start removing bits and pieces for it, it might well be under the weight limit when it gets scrutineered, and that could create a very difficult situation on which to rule. And there is the car being towed back, and we just hope that nothing has been removed from the car, or nothing of any real weight, at least. Otherwise, there could be some very serious discussions as to whether it finished, in what condition it finished the race, as opposed to in what condition it got weighed, because of course all point scoring cars get scrutineered for legality after the race. And Nigel being cheered back, and what a happy man he is. Just look at that. And Grand Prix are pretty tiring, but I doubt whether he feels tired in any way at all right now. Tremendous stuff. What a great drive. What tremendous entertainment for us.
And Bradshaw of the Williams PR. There's Lee Gogg, the Goodyear technician. Louise Tingstrom of FISA. That's Pierre Aumonier of the British Racing Drivers Club, who greeted him home. And there's the man. Just listen to the crowd. Congratulations, says Senna. Congratulations, says Nelson. Brazilian second, Brazilian third, and there's the Englishman, Nigel Mansell, who showed them all the way to go here at Silverstone. He always takes deep, deep breaths after the race. And it's the national anthem.
That is a supremely emotional moment, getting your own national anthem in your own country, and a really wonderful moment for Nigel.
Well, the Shell Oil's British Grand Prix of 1987. And Nigel has now got 3 of those. He won one in Brands Hatch in 85 for the European Grand Prix. He won one at Brands Hatch for the 86 British Grand Prix. He's won one again. I can tell you, because I've been there, that he has a superb living room overlooking Port Erin and a gigantic wooden dining table. And that table will probably have to be strengthened to support not 1, not 2, but 3 of those magnificent crystal bowls, each of which has been specially made by an English craftsman for another English craftsman. A craftsman at the wheel. Don't drop it, Nigel, for heaven's sake. And it's, it's the champagne bust, the fight. I don't think Piquet appreciates it very much. Oh, yes, he does. It's every man for himself with the champagne bottles now. The double magnum of champagne, giving a joyous crowd a dousing from 3 happy drivers, because Nelson Piquet has taken his defeat extremely well. Senna will be happy with those 4 points that he got for his 3rd position in a frankly outpaced Lotus Honda, as it was in France. And the Williams team, who of course have massively increased their Constructors' Championship lead with a maximum 15 points. And here's the car. James, you put your finger on it exactly. The reason that the marshals were ringing the car and linking arms was, of course, because of a bit of wisdom, nothing must go from the car, not so much because they would deny them the souvenirs, but because it could adversely affect the weight.
Yes, and it's a good thing. In fairness, the British crowd, although we're very excited, they're well behaved, they're knowledgeable about motorsport, and they would realise that. They're a responsible and sensible crowd, just very excited by such a great race and a win for the Englishman. Tremendous stuff. And there goes Nigel. I doubt whether he can even think of feeling tired now. He must be so happy.
We haven't told you the Constructors' Championship position. Well, Williams have now got 60 points in the lead over McLaren, who have 39. Lotus have 37, and Ferrari, dropping back all the time, are fourth with 17. Well, now the victor is about to talk. Nigel Mansell to Barry Gill.
Well, here are two drivers who have given a crowd today one of the finest races ever seen here. Nigel, at the beginning of the race today, you said you were looking for a hat-trick. Did you really believe on lap 30 you were going to get it?
No, absolutely not. In the beginning of the race, I had a vibration. I think one of the wheel weights came off. I went on full tanks. I think Nelson did a better job setting his car up. His car was definitely quicker on heavy fuel load. But as the race progressed and I made my pit stop, my car then picked up grip, and then I was a bit quicker down the straights.
You must have worried about making that pit stop, because when you came out, you were 25 seconds behind a man who was going extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. I mean, all credit to the pit crew. They got me out as quick as possible. But I would have tried to go the whole distance if I hadn't had this vibration, but we decided to pit early rather than late. And in doing so, I just managed to catch Nelson at the end.
Well, you say just managed. You gave us one of the most exciting chases we've ever seen. And James Hunt said in the commentary you were driving with crowd power as well as horsepower. Did you know what the crowd was doing?
I'll tell you that's true, because as soon as I knew I was catching Nelson, the crowd all around the circuit, I think for the last 15 laps, I mean, they were waving to me on all the corners, down the straights. I mean, it was willing me on. I mean, it helped tremendously. I mean, I've got to thank them for the win, because it definitely put 5 seconds in my pocket.
I have to tell you, Nigel, we've never seen scenes like the ones at the end when you disappeared under a football-type crowd.
I know, it's truly amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. Fabulous.
Well, it takes two people, of course, to make a great race, and Nelson, you must be feeling bitterly disappointed, but proud of a great drive.
Well, what I can say, he beat me, and he had the better shots to stop for the tires, and I stayed there, hanging there with one set, and in the end, I didn't have no grip, and I came easily behind him and overtake me.
But now the two of you are sharing second place in the World Championship, just 1 point behind Ayrton Senna. I mean, the scene is set for a heck of a season from now on, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it will be a tremendous fight between us and between Ayrton and Alan.
What are your thoughts about the championship at this stage, Nigel?
After last year, I have no thoughts about